Hello, welcome to the Life of Celeb channel. In today's video, we're going to tell you the life story of IU, the Korean singer. So stay with us until the end of the video and support us by liking and subscribing. IU's life story begins at a time when there was no sign of fame, stage lights, or applause. She was born on May 16, 1993, in Seoul, the capital of South Korea. Her real name is Ji-eun, a girl who later became known by the stage name IU. Her childhood, unlike her image today, was full of hardship and deprivation. Her family faced severe financial problems during the early years of her life. Bankruptcy, debt, and economic pressure caused the family to live separately. IU and her younger brother spent a long period living with their grandmother in a very small and cold room, a room that had neither proper heating nor basic facilities. IU later said that in those days, poverty was not something that was only felt. Poverty was seen and touched. Sometimes their daily food was just instant noodles, and in winter they slept wearing several layers of clothes to protect themselves from the cold. At school, things were not better either. Her simple clothes and living conditions caused her to be mocked by some classmates. But right in those difficult days, something formed inside her that changed the course of her life. Music. IU had an interest in singing from childhood. When she stood on small school stages and sang, for a moment all the problems around her faded away. The simple applause of those small gatherings lit a hope in her heart. She realized that her voice could be a way to salvation, not to escape, but to build a different future. From that time on, she decided to become a singer, a decision that for a girl with those financial conditions seemed more like a distant dream. IU's teenage years were tied to effort and failure. She participated in talent auditions many times. Music companies rejected her one after another. She heard negative answers more than 20 times. Each time she went with hope and returned with disappointment. Some criticized her voice, some her appearance, and some said the market did not need such a voice. But IU did not stop. Instead of retreating, she turned every failure into practice to continue the path. Finally, in 2007, when she was still a teenager, she was accepted by LOEN Entertainment. This was the beginning of her professional journey, but this path was not easy either. Life as a trainee in the Korean music industry is very difficult. Long hours of practice, psychological pressure, intense competition, and the constant fear of being dropped became part of her daily life. IU did not have a wealthy family to support her, nor connections to smooth the way. The only things she had were her voice and her determination. In 2008, at the age of 15, IU released her first album titled Lost and Found. This album did not bring great success, and her name was still unfamiliar to the general public. Some of her live performances were met with harsh criticism and were even mocked at times. But these failures did not break her. Instead of giving up, IU focused on improvement. She practiced, learned, and gradually found her own voice. The turning point in IU's life came in 2010. The song Good Day was released, a song that not only showcased her technical vocal ability, but also introduced her emotion and personality to the public. This song quickly became popular and stayed at the top of Korean music charts for weeks. Suddenly, the girl who had been ignored for years became the voice of a new generation. People came to know her by the title, The Nation's Little Sister, a nickname that came from her simplicity, sincerity, and closeness to the people. For IU, fame was not just light and applause. She came under the gaze of millions and had to learn how to remain herself. Unlike many artists, she gradually took a bigger role in creating her music, wrote lyrics, and shaped her own style. Her music became more mature, calmer, and deeper. IU was no longer just a teenage singer. She was an artist in growth. Alongside music, IU entered the world of acting. Her early experiences were simple, but over time she proved her ability. Her performances in dramas and films showed that she could convey emotions just as powerfully in acting as she did in her voice. Series such as My Mr. and Hotel del Luna created a new image of her, more serious and deeper. Despite all the success, IU never forgot her past. She repeatedly helped charities, disadvantaged children, and needy families. Perhaps because she herself knew that poverty is not only the lack of money, but the lack of hope. Her connection with her fans remained warm and genuine. She neither stood above the people nor distanced herself from them. IU's life story is the story of a girl who went from a cold, dark room to bright stages, not by luck, but through patience, failure, effort, and faith in herself. She proved that sometimes a gentle voice can have the loudest impact if it comes from the truth of the heart. One of IU's greatest interests since the difficult years of her childhood has been writing. Writing feelings, thoughts, and things she could not express in words. Later, this interest turned into songwriting. For IU, a song was not just melody and words. It was a way to say the things she had kept inside. Many of her songs come from her personal experiences, fears, longings, and real hopes. That is why listeners often feel that her songs speak directly to their hearts. IU has a strong interest in reading books. Literature is like a refuge for her. Novels, poems, and deep writings have inspired many of her works. She likes to understand characters, follow their emotions, and pass through different worlds. This interest in literature has made her outlook on life more delicate and precise, and this perspective is also reflected in her music. She has a special fondness for old and calm music. From childhood, she listened to the voices of old Korean singers, and even during her years of fame, she has repeatedly re-sung classic songs. For IU, music is not something that should just follow trends. Music must have a soul, even if it is simple. This interest caused her style to gradually move away from noisy pop music toward warm, calm, and sincere sounds. IU loves simple things. Home-cooked food, slow walks, drinking tea or coffee in silence, watching the rain, and moments without haste. She never made a flashy life her goal, perhaps because the hardships of the past taught her that true value is hidden in small things. It is still said that IU, despite her wealth and fame, lives a simple lifestyle. IU loves foods that are eaten with rice and have a balanced flavor. Among drinks, she is very fond of warm beverages such as tea and coffee. IU is also still interested in calm, simple colors and pastel shades, and the color purple is one that appears most often in her clothes, concerts, and even her albums. Perhaps one of the most tender parts of IU's life is her relationship with her pet. She has had a small dog named Gomo for years, a dog whose presence in IU's life is not just out of affection, but a kind of emotional companionship. IU has repeatedly spoken about her deep attachment to this pet. For someone who has experienced loneliness for many years, such a calm companion means a lot. Gomo is not just a pet for IU. He is a part of her home and life. The South China Morning Post has estimated IU's net worth at $31 to $45 million, making her the richest female Korean idol singer. This was the life story of IU, from the early days of life and poverty to fame and success. I hope you enjoyed the video. To support us, subscribe to our channel and like the video. In the comments section, also write which celebrity you would like the next video to be about.